StarTropics was always one of my favorite NES games, and I played quite a lot of it while I was growing up. When I decided to play it recently, I noticed something strange in the music. Listen to the tune that plays on the island map. The melody, bass line, and percussion are all fine, but let me turn up just the accompaniment. It makes a weird noise and then goes silent for a long time. The track has a pretty strong melody and the accompaniment is pretty quiet. It's easy to miss, especially if you don't spend too much time walking around, but eventually it comes back in, totally out of time with everything else. What's going on here? I spent some time reverse engineering the game's music software and I eventually got to the bottom of it. I discovered that the game can only have up to 256 bytes of music data per channel of a tune. When I looked carefully at the data for the accompaniment pattern, I could see all the notes were there, but the data is 394 bytes long, which is way over the 256 byte limit. When it reaches the limit, about 20 seconds into the track, it wraps around to the beginning, which has 4 bytes of setup data that get reinterpreted as two strange sounding notes, the first one very short and the second one very long, creating a very long pause of about 30 seconds. When that second note finishes though, it resumes playing the accompaniment from the beginning again, but it's not synchronized with the other channels at all. This was easy to fix once I understood how the data was formatted. The StarTropics music engine actually has a command you can use to repeat segments of a track. I simply replaced repeated notes with the repetition command, and it neatly fit under the 256 byte limit without having to change any of the original notes. So, for the first time, here is the island map music as originally intended. While I was poking around in there, I also noticed this track from the end of the game. It sounds complete enough as it is, even though it doesn't have a bass line, but then I heard this curious little note come from the bass. When I took a look at the data for that track, I found there was a full bass line written for it, and it had just been accidentally corrupted. There was an extra 0 byte on the end of the setup data, and after deleting that, I got to hear for the first time this track in full 3-part harmony. It's a bit curious to me, because the first problem suggests that the composer was using a tool to compose that didn't have the 256 byte limitation, but the second problem is the kind of thing that would happen if you were typing numbers in by hand, not generated by a tool. So it makes me wonder what the composing process was like for this game. Anyways, if you want to download a patch to play your ROM of StarTropics with the original music restored, or if you'd like to download a fixed NSF to just listen to the music, follow the links in the video description. If you're technically minded and interested in hacking new music into StarTropics, or just want to look at an example of how to disassemble and reverse engineer NES code, you can download the source code and disassembly as well. Thanks for listening.